is a topic that is coming more and more, and I've been asked also to talk about that more and more in conferences. It's trust, and yeah, people are wondering, how can we get the trust of the general public? How can we regain the trust? And yeah, it's first I think it really comes down to understand what trust is. And the first reaction, if you ask people what is trust, well, they're going to give you a whole bunch of things. It's telling the truth, being honest, having integrity, doing as you say, and so on and so on. But these, personally, I consider more like symptoms more than really the root of trust. And if you look at it, think about it, trust comes down to only one thing, and it comes down to safety. If you don't feel safe with a person, you're not going to trust them, and that can be, or we can talk about food and agriculture, but we can talk about politics, we can talk about government, we can talk about other road users. If you don't feel safe, you don't trust. You can trust only if you feel safe. And of course, the flip side of that coin of safety is fear. And I think if we want to build trust, we have to remove the fear. And what is the fear? Well, it's potential of harm. So if we want to gain trust, we have to show that we do not do any harm. And in the case of, let's say, food and agriculture, but I would say probably all industries, you have to show that you don't do any harm to people, you don't do any harm to the environment, you don't do any harm to animals. That's really the key. So then you deal with the fear. How do you remove the fear? Well, there is an antidote for fear, and it's another four-letter word, and it's hope. There is nothing to gain trust that giving people hope. If you look at leaders, the one who give people hope are going to have the more followers. And you know what? Sometimes people follow a leader because they have this feeling that it gives them hope. The leader might not always have all that much integrity, and maybe that leader shouldn't be trusted, but nonetheless people follow those who give them hope. And I believe that if we want to gain people, the general public's trust, if we want to get them to follow us, the best way is to have a message of hope. We have to show, and since I'm in food and agriculture, I would say the food and agriculture industry has to show that there is hope. And it's true for any kind of business, but also in government and in society in general. So I really think you have to concentrate your communication, but also your actions, because people will judge you on your actions, not just what you communicate. It has to be a message of hope. And just to give an example of not giving false hope, greenwashing is the perfect example. Some companies come and make statements. It gives hope, and then the public realizes that, well, those statements, they were not accurate. And then they're disappointed, because if you set the hopes high, then the disappointment is going to be higher as well. So I think if we want to create hope, we must not make statements that we don't know that we can achieve for sure. And I would say, instead of making bold statements about, by 2030 or 2035 or 2050, we're going to have achieved, we don't know. How can you say for sure what's going to happen in 5 or 10 or 25 years from now? It's impossible. What you can say is what you're working on. And I think that's what needs to be done, that people realize that, okay, they're really trying to work on fixing things. That will give them more hope than bold statements with, very spectacular goals that nobody really knows if it's realistic or not.
If you're interested in my videos, please click on the subscribe button, or you can also visit my website.